All right, let's see if this works. I think I'm getting a connection. Okay. Just want to see if I pop up on the screen. Beautiful. Yes. All right. Hi, and welcome to Learning with Kablik. My name is Amber, and I am a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. And today we're going to be talking about Canva. Canva is a web-based design service that you can use. It is a freemium product, which means that many of the elements and apps that you can put into the service are free, but there are other things that are baked in that you would have to pay for. But for most folks, you can get by just using the free product. And I really like using it just because I've used it for projects for work. It's really great if you work for a nonprofit. In fact, there is nonprofit pricing, and it's really great for libraries too. So if I have any librarians in the audience, that's great. For folks who are tuning in live, you can say something in the chat, and I will do my best to see if I to answer your questions as we go along. And for folks who are watching later on, you can just always, if you're curious about some of the events that we have, you can visit us at www.bpl.org, and you can look at similar events that are coming up at the library. And I'll pull that up at the screen at the end. The other thing I would just like to mention is you can find playbacks and tutorials on this channel for other software too. There'll be a few other things popping up in the channel in the next couple of months. And lastly, I just wanted to say, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We're experimenting today. Last time I taught, I used Zoom, and that was mixed. So we'll see how this format works. So today, specifically, we're going to do 2 exercises. The first one is going to be making a social media post, and the second one is going to be making a poster. And I'll talk about some of the bells and whistles that are put in to Canva. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up Canva on the website. So you can sign up for a free account at canva.com. I encouraged folks to do that in the event posting, but if you didn't see that, you can sign up now. And it just takes a few minutes. They ask you kind of a quiz at the beginning, sort of asking what kind of organization you're using or you work for. And then they kind of pick the designs that work best for that kind of organization. They even have one for libraries, so my library folks out there. So let me just pull this up. So this is Canva, and I have signed in and I have created an account. And there's a bunch of free designs or free templates that we're going to use. So like I said, there's going to be 2 exercises. The first is going to be a social media post, and it's going to be an Instagram post. And what I will do is I'm going to show you how basically everything's built in. And the second exercise that we're going to do, which is going to take up the bulk of the class today, is going to be a poster. And we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to talk about a couple of things there. So I just want to show you that this is like a web-based platform, and I have a multitude of designs. But here are some recent designs that we have here that I made. When you have a fresh account, you'll see this bar up here. But you can see there are some templates, and these look all professional. Oh, remember to vote. But I'm just seeing the things that we have here. So if you have a small business, this is another great resource. So if you wanted to brand your Facebook cover, or if you have event promotions, there's Facebook covers that you can use as well. There's presentations, you can do some video stuff. So I'm just going to scroll back up to the top, and I just want to point out a couple of other things. All your designs are stored on Canva, so what's nice is you can work from anywhere, which is great if you can't get into the office. So I've just done some fun things here, so you can see some of the stuff I've messed around with. I've logos, some bunnies, some social media things, so you can play around with how that looks. The computer's going a little slow, but here it is. And I'm just going to check for questions. Looks like there's nothing. So I'm going to pop back. So you get a feel for what we're going to do today. And you can also have organizations with folders. And if you wanted to, you can share some designs with people. Obviously, you'll have some more options with Canva Pro. But for most of the time, you can just make your own templates or your own designs, and it should be fine. So here's like a snapshot of most of the things. There's even lesson plans. There's Zoom backgrounds too, which is kind of fun. You can see that over here. But I'm just going to click on the templates menu, and it's just going to bring us to the templates page. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to make an Instagram post just to show you what it looks like. So I can actually just browse all of these posts. And I just hit see all. And these are just in here, built in. It's super easy. So let's say I wanted to do something for my small business. I'm advertising something. I might use this hair salon one. So I'm actually just going to click on it. And I'm just going to hit use this template. Super, super, super easy. And I'm just using this to sort of orient you guys to the actual interface here. So, and just checking to see if I have any questions. Now, despite the fact that I've pulled up a template right here, there's also templates on the side over here that I can use too. So like, let's say I don't want to use this anymore. I can actually just click on, oh, there's all 6 pages. This looks like an Instagram story that you can export. So you can just say, you can just click and it will apply that particular post. So you're not necessarily married to certain templates is what I want to get you to realize. It's actually really easy. It's drag and drop, it's plug and play. So here, I wanted you to notice as I hover over things, you'll see that some of these say free, whereas some of these will have sort of a triple dots here. So this photo right here is actually watermarked. This is one of the things that I wanted to point out. Not everything is free, but we can replace this image, and it's really simple to do. So let's just say we can just change this. And let's just say I'm going to talk about SketchUp. That's next week's class. And, oh, SketchUp's one word. Notice that they don't catch the spelling stuff. But I'm just going to be lazy and fix that. So I'm just texting that. Backspace. Let's get rid of this. Basics. Weird. That font is funny. basics. I'm just goofing here, but you can play around with that and put in your own text. So all I'm doing is I'm clicking where the text is, and I'm just typing in. I'm going to type in learn the basics. Now, to remove this watermark, what I can do, and Canva has this built in, is I can actually click on this and then I would just purchase this premium element for $1, which is really easy. Or because I can actually replace this, I can play around and find an image that's actually relevant to my class next week. So, So, these lemons in the background are here. What's cool about Canva is that you can upload your own photos, and I have some photos uploaded here. They're not necessarily the photos I'm going to use, but you can see some of the ones that I've used in the past, including a BPL logo. And then there's also some photos here. What's cool about this left-hand sidebar is that you can navigate these and add various elements to your posts or your designs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a photo, and we'll talk about elements and the text when we do the poster, but it's actually really fun. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in 3D design and see what comes up. All right. So I want something a little bit more rendery. See? So I did want to point out that there is only a pro account. So if you wanted to get this image, you'd have to pay for it. So if I were to pull this out, I would still get the watermarked image, which is kind of a bummer. They have no free ones? Boo. This does happen occasionally. But you are able to upload your own photos from other websites if you have those accessible to you. So I'm just going to use this one for the sake of simplicity. And all I'm doing is I'm dragging and dropping. And it's going to replace that background image that I have there. Actually, I'm not a fan of that. So I'm just going to see what happens there. Nope, don't like that. Delete. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to use this architectural thing because SketchUp can be used for some architectural design, which is pretty cool. So I just dragged and dropped that, and I'm going to show you again, actually just using this photo. When I'm dragging and dropping, you'll notice that there is a blue outline, and actually, I'll make this a little bit bigger in the stream so you can see it. There you go. So you can see it. So I'll drag that picture back. You'll see the blue outline, and then you know you're dropping it behind the image there. And what I can do is if I double click on this, I can actually adjust how the image is cropped within the frame here. And what you see, this 800 by 800 grid, is what will be exported. Now, you'll notice here that this box is yellow. I can change this box, and if I click here on the color, we can have it match something in the drawing here if we really wanted to. So because I copied that first design color, design template, these are the colors that are in here. So the document colors are white, yellow, this gray, and the black, and that's all what's in the text. Excuse me. But I can, for example, change this to pink if I really wanted to, or if I wanted a custom color, if I double click and let's say I wanted to, if I double click on the swatch, I can move this around. Or if I have brand hex codes that I wanted to use, I can also put those in my design. So let's say I'm happy with this. Oh, I do want to point out one last thing. So we're not married to this particular photo, and we'll play around with this a little bit more when we do the poster challenge or poster exercise. But you can add effects. Very similar to how you would use Instagram. You can put filters and effects on these photos. So like, let's say I wanted to pixelate this. There are actually third-party apps that you can put in. So I'm just going to put in pixelate, and you can connect the app. Now these are third-party things, and so you're giving them, sorry, my Windows things. You're giving them, sorry, effects. You're giving them access to your account. Just be wary of that. And I'm just going to hit connect. And what that will do is that will give me some options for how to filter the photo. So it's taking a little bit because my computer is a little slow, but I can make this image greeny. And it's going to take a little bit because I'm streaming at the same time. So you can have like kind of fun effects on these. And if you double click, you can actually change the number of pixels and play around with those. So you can add more or less to give it a feel that you're looking for. And then when we're done, oh, we can change the name of this. So I can just call this Sketch Insta. And all I did was I clicked up here on the name, and then I can just download this. So, and we'll talk about some of these other options that are here, but I can download this as a PNG, or I can even, if I hit on share, I can share this with someone. Let's say I have someone on my team who can edit this. But I was going to say, oh, show more. You can connect directly with your Instagram or whatnot, even MailChimp. So if you wanted to design a newsletter, let's see. All right. There's a nice comment here where it says someone uses Canva Pro. Yeah, thank you for coming today. I hope you pick up something. And then someone says, is there an eyedropper feature to pick up the colors in the photo? You know, that would be helpful, actually. I'm not certain. So if you go into this color picker here, I don't have access to it, but there's photo colors that come up. So what Canva does is there's like a little AI in the background, and it will be like, oh, these are the predominant colors in the image. So what I can do is I can actually click on this, and I'm hoping, yeah, it will pick out the colors here. So I can actually change that to that color that I have. And what's cool actually is, thank you for your question. It's actually a really great question. I could change the this font here as well. I can use this tan color if I really wanted to. Ooh, not a fan. So undo is Control Z. So if you, or Command Z on a Mac, so that still works in Canva. That's always great. But it's not an eyedropper per se, but Canva kind of picks the colors for you. It makes it easier for you to use elements of the drawing. I know, like, let's say I really wanted this particular color here. It's picked out sort of the middle ground ones, just based on whatever algorithm it uses. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see. But it is kind of cool because, like, you'll know that it matches this particular photo, and it'll be in the same color family. So, but yeah, we can download this. And if I hit download, we can do a PNG. Now, I will point out that if you don't have the Pro account, you can't do the transparent background, which is kind of frustrating. But, you know, for most folks, like if you're going to be doing a post like this, minimal effort, not a graphic designer, this looks better than what I could whip up in like Photoshop, and it took way less time. Because you would think about all the filters that you would have to apply in Photoshop and then adjusting it a certain way. Now, there is one other thing I do want to point out. You can't resize anything unless you pay for the Pro, which is also frustrating. But because it's free, you can just make a new design. So I'm going to pause here, take a drink of my tea. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer that. So we're going to make a poster from scratch. Is the next exercise. So I'm just going to pop into the screen here and let's see. Oh, I just realized it says Healthy Geeky Amber. Oh man, I'm definitely geeky, but it's good to see you, Amber. Haha, that's fun. I love meeting other Ambers. Woohoo! And then, yeah, is there an ink dropper? So I think I answered that. So I'm just going to pause here. And then we'll go into the second, exercise, which is making a poster. And what's cool is you can actually key in your custom dimensions if you really wanted to at the beginning. So I'll show you how to do that. And we're going to be using a couple of elements from that left-hand sidebar. We're really going to dig into that. So I don't see any more questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transition back. And we're going to go back to the home button because this is going to be saved, and you can see all changes saved up at the top here. Oh, and I did want to point out that you can go into here. It's very similar to like Photoshop or whatnot, where like if you wanted to see the print bleed, and we'll show you this with the poster, and you can also create a new design from here. But I'm going to go from the home page just so you can see it. Let's say you want to start fresh. And so while my computer loads, I have all these wonderful templates, marketing, personal. You can actually make business cards. It's actually a really great tool. Which thing? Okay, good. I was like, which screen do I have up? So I'm going to hit create a design. And I can pick something from poster. I can even do a video. The definition, the default is 1080p. I can do a flyer, or I can do custom dimensions. So I'm going to change this to inches, if it'll let me. Ugh. Here we go. So I'm changing that to inches. So I want this to be 24 by 36. Ooh, that's a really long poster. So 24 by 36 inches, because the default is pixels, because it's assuming you're going to make a web-based graphic. And I'm going to hit create new design. The throat's dry. So while we wait, everything is going to load up, and you're going to notice a couple of things. On your screen, you should see when you are making a new design, it starts off with naming it. And I think as you get more designs in your portfolio, you should start naming them. So I'm just going to start off with naming this as a Climate Week poster. And then I'm just going to say 914 class, because I actually do have another thing called climate poster, and I'm not sure what I labeled it as. So I can actually begin putting some stuff, like I can use a template again, but we don't necessarily need to do that. I can start using different elements from the sidebar here. And so what's baked in is you can see the different kinds of pieces that you can put in your design. So they have shapes, frames, stickers, grids. And what these are essentially, they can be placeholders or design elements that you can use to make some fun graphics. So what I like about Canva too is depending on the season, or if there's anything going on. So for example, during like October, they'll have like a lot of spooky stuff and like some Day of the Dead things. During like Thanksgiving and Christmas, they'll have like seasonal stuff. For like the spring holidays, they'll highlight more flowers. So they always have sort of relevant collections of material. So things that stay sort of relevant, so you can find those things. And anything that you've used recently will pop up towards the top. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to scroll down here. Grids are a great way of just like sectioning out your design. So if you wanted a particular look to your design, like let's say I wanted to have like I wanted to make a photo collage or something, I could go through it and I could make it this way. So I can actually, I'm going to pull this grid onto my design here. Now, what this does is it's created several placeholders for me. And so I can drop images in here or add a background. I can also adjust the spacing up at the top. If you take anything away from this tutorial today, essentially is click on something and see what your options are at the top. There is a lot of options. And the other would be to keep scrolling through these options here, because there's actually a lot of design elements that are free. And so I'm actually going to put a nice big gap between these. And what's cool about this grid is I don't necessarily have to use it straight on like this. I can play around with the grid, and I can actually change its orientation. And I can have like sort of a placeholder, or not a placeholder. I can have it be askew like this. So now if I put in a picture or a background, it will go in to this frame here. So I'm just going to click on this box right here, and I can actually pick a color, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to make this gray for now. And like, there we go. It's just a gray section of the poster. And I'm going to put some words in there. I'm going to make this one, I'm just picking colors right now, but yeah, I'm just going to make that one blue. Okay. Just playing around, goofing around. And like already, this poster looks like super like complicated. Like, oh, it took how long to design. And I'm just zhuzhing this. If you can't see what I'm doing, and let me actually make sure that let's make this a little bit bigger. If you can't see what I'm doing, I'm using this anchor right here to expand how long, how wide this is. And so I can do that. I can also change how short something is. So we can play around with the proportions a little bit. So we can have some fun. All right. So this is my poster so far, and I'm actually just going to pause And I have a little bit of a delay. There's a little bit of a delay while I'm streaming. So I'm just going to hang out for a minute before I continue, just in case someone has any questions or wants me to redo anything. So, boop. Oh, I goofed. So sorry about that, guys. It'll pop back up in a second. So, all right. I don't see any questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue, and don't be shy. If my colleagues have questions, they can send me something on Teams. if they're watching. So I can also add a background. So in these elements, there's also, background is a separate thing. So in these elements, I can also add a background. So I could make that just a plain color if I wish to. Or I could use some of these dynamic backgrounds that we have here. So we can use something that's stylistic. And again, if you hover over it, you'll notice that this one's free. This one isn't. But you can pay to remove those watermarks if that's something you really wanted to do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grab this, and I'm just going to see. Oh, it's not going to let me do it. Is it? Hold on. It's a little behind. My computer is doing some things. Let's see what happened. So it pops behind it. It doesn't necessarily do what I want it to do. I'm actually going to just delete that. Of course those palms aren't free. Bummer. You can also just click on the background and it will pop up in there. So there's this blue one. There's actually one I really like, and it's got stripes, and I'm hoping to find it, but I don't see it. All right. But you can change the color of the background as well. And I can also search backgrounds, so I'm just going to search for stripes, make my life easier. Not stipes, stripes. Oh, thanks, Mary. Canva is great. All right, so these are the stripes I wanted to see. So all of these, I believe, are free. So if I wanted to grab this striped background, I'm just going to pop it in there, or I could have double clicked and it would have gone in. I have to adjust the angle of my grid here, but that's okay. It's really easy to do. So I have this grid, and I moved it. Great. Now what I can do is I can click on this, and I can go in, and I can actually add or change some of the colors that are in this. So I can have it be gray in the background, or I can actually make it green. You know, it's funny. I've been making this stuff. I don't like that. And you can play with the colors as you go. So this is me being like super picky about colors and whatnot, just because I'm funny like that. But now you can see here, like, oh, you know, I have this particular color here. I don't like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make that brighter. Yeah. And I can adjust this so that it fits. And most of this is just me zhuzhing. Another tip, which you can't see, and normally I would show this, is the arrow keys in the bottom right hand corner of your keyboard, either on your laptop or on like your physical keyboard. If you tap those, you can actually sort of zhuzh things into place, which is really fun. If you hold the shift key, it moves things in larger increments. So I find that helpful if I'm trying to move something into place. It moves things at certain increments, and it makes things a lot easier than just dragging and dropping. Because sometimes with a mouse, you might do something kind of goofy. I'm just checking there. Okay. So I'm going to add a picture in this grid down here. So for fun stuff. So if we go up to photos again, we can do a search. Now, the last time I played around with this, you'll see all my recently used photos up here. So I had I actually had a globe here, and this is free. And I want to show you two things. First is I'm going to grab this globe picture and I'm going to drop it into this frame right here. Notice that when I drag and drop, it highlights where I'm going to drop it. All right. So when you tilt a frame, no matter whatever you put the picture in, it will always tilt the picture to fit the frame. So if you're like, oh, I want like a diamond shaped frame or whatever, don't find a square frame and like rotate it. Find an actual one that's a diamond, because you'll see here, and I'll double click so you can see this. This picture has been rotated to match the orientation of the frame. So just be mindful of that and the photos that you are using. I would like to also point out, I'm just going to do this. I'll search for a globe again, or you can do Earth. Ooh, I like that one. But there is one with a transparent background that I found. So I'll just use this one as an example. Oh, that's frustrating. So if you want to highlight Africa and Europe, you have to pay. That's annoying. All right. So, but you can see here that the background is transparent. And the only reason I know that is because there's no background here. And if I click on this, oh, I thought those were two separate images, but actually I'll show you here. It's a transparent background, which is actually really cool. Let me see. This one's a free one, and it happens to be a photo. So if I grab this and I pull it into my design here, it will crop it, but it will also crop it to the grid. So I have that transparent background. So that adds an interesting little bit of design element. Now I can't find the one that I had. So I'm just going to go back to my recent photos here. Oh, I searched for Earth. That's why. It saves all your searches, which is really fun. And it makes things easier, especially if you're doing things on a theme. Where is it? So this is the one I want to use, and I'm going to pop it in here. So like that's kind of a fun little element here. Now, again, Ashley, I believe, or Amanda asked that question earlier. Oh, what if I wanted to use the eyedropper? Well, you can see now that I've dropped this earth in, and it doesn't really match these colors. So if I were to just click here on my gray box, and if I click on the swatch up at the top bar, there's photo colors that I can use. So this gray is a bit of a cooler gray, and so I've put that in. And this green doesn't quite match. So I'll just see what's going on here. Maybe I'll add this lighter gray. And it's like actually a light blue. In this background here, if I click on the background and then click on the swatch, what I can do is I can pull in that color. So now everything matches. So that's actually pretty cool. And what I'm going to do actually, because that globe is cut off a little bit, is I'm actually going to extend this so that I can see the edge of the globe. Again, this is me being picky. And we're going to add some text. I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to pause for 30 seconds just because of the delay. And I'm going to see if folks have any questions. And so, and hopefully I didn't minimize the thing again. So I don't see any questions, but I'm just going to hang out for a second. And you should see the text up at the top. Now, we have the ability to find preset text in Canva, which is really fun. We have the ability to find preset text in Canva, or we can make our own using the heading, the body, and the subheading text, which can be helpful. But some of the preset things are also helpful too. So I'll show you an example. Let me go back. So I can add a heading. If I click on heading, it should pop up in my design. All right, so I'm just going to call this Climate Week. And I'm just going to move this up towards the top. Now, I just want to point out a couple of things here. See these purple lines? And actually, what I might do is make this a little bit bigger so you can see. See these purple lines as I move the text? What these are guides. And those are helpful if you're trying to line things up to a specific point. If you're lazy or, you want to work harder, not smarter, you can also use the position tool. So what you can do is you can actually center things. So this is already centered on the page, which is really nice. And it's grayed out. So that's helpful. So I'm just going to have this be Climate Week. Just put that right there. And then this is my text. What I can do with this text is I can add a number of effects. The first thing I can do is I can change the text color. So it's asking the document colors here. So these are all the document in my text or in my poster. I can add more colors if I wanted to. So I could make this text bright white if I wanted to. I can also change the font here, and there's a number of fonts that you can use. Come on. Sorry, my computer's being funny. So you can open the fonts and you can play around with, you'll notice that some of these are premium fonts, but you can get a lot of cool fonts that you wouldn't necessarily get. So Climate Week, beautiful. And that's a capital font. So I'm actually going to go to this Beliza just so you can see it. So I'm just going to go here. And we'll do this Climate Week. You have the ability actually to toggle case. So you can make it all caps or sentence case. So I'm just going to put that as all caps just for now. You can also add effects. So you can add a shadow if you wanted to. Now this gets really granular, and I can go into this a little later if people have questions. But you can add all these effects and use the sliders. So you can make it kind of a blurry shadow. And you can also change the color of the shadow. I can make the shadow blue. Or I could use the color picker by clicking on the swatch selector. So I'll leave this for right now, just for funsies. But there's a number of other tools you can use here. So this text does not allow you to bold or underline it. I'm actually just going to go back to the effects here, and I'm just going to hit none just to take them off. And so that's easy. Let's say you were like, oh, I don't like how that looks. You can take off the effects. Super, super duper easy. You can also put links in here. So like if you're making like an email newsletter or something, I just wanted to point this out. You can like hyperlink some text. You can also lock it so you don't mess it up, which is something I recommend if you're like me, who like clicks on stuff and like drags things in the wrong way. So actually we'll show that right now. Let's say I don't want to move these graphical elements. If I lock that now, what happens is I won't accidentally click on this and try to move it. And that's actually really, really, really helpful if you're have a lot of elements that you're putting in your design. So I'm actually going to, there's another font in here that I want to show you because there's a couple of other options. These are the popular ones. Where is it? Maybe it's this one. Sorry, it's taken a little longer to, hey, there we go. So you could do bold, italic, and sometimes, let me see something. You can minimize that sidebar. Sometimes it gives you extra effects that you can apply here. Like you can make it bold, italic, or whatnot. But for whatever reason, it's not coming up right now. Of course not. So I'm just going to leave that for now. And I'm going to pull up the text. So I was lazy when I did the sample for this. But what I did was I actually used this menu selection right here. For my events. So it says Climate Week, special selections. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this text block so that it fits in my, my box here. All right. So this is what I was saying. Sometimes it's easier with the arrow to move stuff. And if you hold the shift key again, it moves stuff around a little bit easier. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in here. So it says special selections, and this is a menu, but I can say upcoming events. And I know this has like prices and stuff on it, but I can change this. And instead of having it be like a particular sea salt caramel or whatever, I'm just going to have this be event number 1. And I'm just going to put the date here. So I grabbed a template for a menu, but I can repurpose any of those things. What I really want to encourage is that Canva is really, really flexible, and you can use the pre-baked elements to do something really, really fun. And so I'm just going to put in the date here, 9/28. I don't know when it is. So you can play around with this, and you can change the size of this box if you wanted to. You can move things around. You can make it skinnier. Um, ugh, it's being mean to me again. Oops. I've selected the text, so it assumed that I wanted to play with the text. And this is what I was saying. It's helpful if you lock things, because I keep clicking on the this background grid here. And if you like the position of something, there's a good question here. Is there a way to angle text, not rotate it, but have the text so it's going down on a diagonal? Interesting. So you have the classic, this one where you can move the text box, but that's not what you're asking specifically. If you go into the effects, I believe there is something that you can do in there. I don't know if we can do that in this particular. So this right here is the line height, and you can adjust that. You can also adjust the alignment, so you can make it center or right. Oh, actually, if we go into the text, there are some text things that are already angled, if that's going to answer your question. So like, let's say this thank you. If I pull this out here and I'm just going to drop it. It's taking a second. Sorry, guys. This is already up at an angle. Like, they've adjusted it to have that effect. And you can actually change the font here if you need it to be a different font. So I will actually change it to this Cardo. So it's angled sort of like that. I don't think that answers your question, though. Let me just pause a little bit, and I'll wait for your response. Oh yeah, the locking elements is really helpful, because I know that once you start adding stuff into the design, it can get really, really complicated. Okay, so let's see. I'm sorry, Amanda. I think that's the best we're gonna do in terms of the rotation. I think you were asking like if you could make a like kind of like a stair step thing, if that's what you're asking, not without maybe making a lot of text boxes, if that's what you were asking. Yeah, that would be the way I would do it, is probably make a bunch of text boxes. So actually, I'm going to delete this thank you. And so it's really easy to do. You can hit the trash can up at the top or the delete key on your keyboard. So just highlight what you want and delete it. And you can delete the element. And because this is grouped, you can delete the entire group. And I'm just going to delete that group because I don't want it there. Here's our locked thing. I can't delete it, which is nice. That's another nice thing about the locking. So let's just say that we have our 2 events here. There's like only 2 events that we have during our climate week. If I were to click here, I can delete just that element in the group. So again, I'll show that. You have the delete option and it will delete element. If I were to just click on this, the default, oops, I clicked on the actual text, not the actual element. Let me click off, click on here. If I were to delete it, the default is to actually delete the element, not the group. So, and I'm just going to adjust the width of this. So now we'll see, oh, here's our thing, and I'm just going to change this to event 2. And so you can use these, and I'm just going to do 929. And you can change the description. Now I want to show something fun to you. Let's say we want to make this text a little punchier. Like, let's say we want to make it orange for whatever reason. I'm going to change it here to orange. In this box at the bottom, and I hope you guys can see this if you pay attention here, you can change all that light element to the gray by checking that. And so that's a great way of changing all your text at once. It's so helpful. So now all our text sticks out and we can get access to it. Ooh, I just realized what time it was. So I'm going to hang out for another about 10 minutes because there's a couple of other things I did want to cover on our journey here. So let me just make sure that that's up. So again, by going and checking this box, if I uncheck it, you'll see that that's just orange. But if I check this box, it will change all of my text to that orange color. And again, if I goof and I'm like, oh, you know, I want it to be that darker orange, I can do that. So I'm just going to leave it like that. There is something I want to show. So I'm going to go back to my elements here. There's charts. I want to pull this out so you can see it. So I'm just going to pull the chart out and it'll load. Or not. Sorry, guys. Computer is a little funky. Yes. So if you have a chart, what you can do is you can actually upload the Excel, or you could actually type in the specific stuff. It should appear over here. You have to paste the data from the Excel spreadsheet. So if you are trying to make an infographic, this is an awesome tool. I know that some folks are scared about infographics and especially or are not sure how to approach an infographic. This is like a great way of making a tool that you can sort of demonstrate to people. Everything now, I feel like a lot of people are consuming a lot of video and a lot of text. So if you can make something quick and visual, this definitely helps. And I'm just going to delete that bad boy because it's in the way. And I'm going to show you something kind of cool and I haven't touched on. So I'm just going to grab this leaf right here. Just so you can see it. So see this leaf? Up in the top right-hand corner, we actually have a transparency grid. So I can actually make this transparent and have it be kind of like a large design element. Now, notice here that it doesn't go to the edges. It goes over a little bit. And let's say I just want to keep it in this area. What I can do is I can actually match it up with my shape here. And if I wanted to overlap a little bit or just go out on the edge over here, I can actually crop it by going up to the top here and hitting crop. And I can crop it. Ugh. Annoying. I can crop it to the edge so that way it doesn't go over my globe. That makes sense. So I'm going to confirm. So now I have this nice design element here with its transparent, it's cropped to the edge, and it doesn't show up anywhere else. So I'll show that again. So I'm just going to grab this fern and I'm just going to drop it here. And I'm going to rotate it. And I'm just using this little rotate icon right here. And I'm going to expand it and make it big. And you know what's really cool is I can actually flip this on the horizontal. You can do this with any photo or graphic. Actually, I wanted to flip it vertically. Oh, I actually like that. How serendipitous. And you can change the order. So remember how I was in this position box earlier? What you can do is you can use this to change the stack. So this can push it all the way to the back, or I can push it backwards. Oops, too far backwards. I'm going to put it forward. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that again. I'm going to knock the transparency down. And actually, I'm going to change the color on it. I'm going to make it a lighter color. And I'm actually just going to knock the transparency down. Oops, no, I don't want to paste the style. Knock that transparency down. And so now you have the climate change, blah, blah, blah. And again, what I might do is just adjust this so that it meets the angle here. And then, so it doesn't overlap too much, what I'll do is escape, or click on this element. Oh, it's not letting me crop it. Interesting. Let me try that again. I might just have to resize it. Normally it lets you crop it. That's fun. But this is essentially the poster here. Pretty simple. Now this climate week right here is a little hard to read, but I forgot to talk about the most basic shape. I can add a square. And I can adjust the height and width of this square. And I can pull it up. Ta-da! I've added this square. Now you can see climate week. You know what's cool about this? I can right click on this. Oh, I thought it was going to let me duplicate it. Oh. So see this right here? I can duplicate it over here. And I'm going to change this color to this light one right here. And I'm going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard. And then if I go to where it says position, I'm going to knock it backwards. And it's like I gave it kind of like a little 3D box. So you can play around with that. Now what I can do is I'm going to go over here. And what you can do is you can show the margins on the page. If you wanted to do that, let's say this was a, oh crap. I clicked on something. Sorry guys. Hold on. It's going to promote that. So I'm just going to get out of this little ad here. Come on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to File. I'm going to turn off the margins. And I'm going to show the print bleed. So it puts in the print bleed for us. I'm going to go File. I can actually have rulers. I meant to say that earlier. So that's helpful if you're trying to position stuff specifically. But then what I can do is I can download this. So I can download this as a PNG if I wanted to. And it's going to download it in pixels. And I can send this. Or what's really cool is if I hit show more here, I can send this to my Google Drive. I can send this to my Dropbox. But I can also print posters. It's baked in, which is really cool. So if I were to click on this, Canva will print something to you. It's asking to resize the design. So I'm not quite sure. Oh, they might do a slightly smaller version of this. So I'll just hit resize design. And what's going to happen is going to ask for my credit card information. And effectively, it's going to... is 21 by 28 inches. So that's the benefit of actually using the preset sizes is when they do the printing, all of the actual posters and business cards or whatever are at their preset size. So that is something to be mindful of. So this is, instead of being 24 by 36, it's going to be 21 by 28. That's something just to be mindful of. And you can go through this. So if we hit continue, I want one poster, but I could have multiple. It's going to ask if you want white edges or if you want the edges to go directly to the background. So you'll see that check the danger zone. That's helpful if you have the margins actually up, because if you use that margins at the beginning, it will move things for you. And then we'll hit continue. And then we'll hit continue. And they're going to do a proof. They'll download the proof, double check your print, blah, blah, blah. It's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to do that though. So I'm going to pause here for some questions. Yeah, sorry, Amanda. So if anyone has any other questions about Canva, this was sort of just a gentle introduction. What I really, really like about Canva is that it's really flexible. That's the main selling point. It's really flexible, and you can get some really classy looking images without actually having that design training. And this is great if you have a particularly like really small startup, or you're your sole proprietor, or you're at a small nonprofit and you don't necessarily have the budget to do certain graphic design elements. Or graphic design work. And you can make things look really professional on a dime. So it's a really great tool. So I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions, because that'll be it for today, I think. I did mention the third-party apps. So if anyone has any questions about that, there are multiple apps and multiple settings within those. But you can play around with those as well. I hope I encouraged folks to sign up for a Canva account just to even goof around. I don't have my cell phone with me. I was going to say they actually have a mobile app, and it's pretty easy to use. I've downloaded it on my Android phone. So if you're trying to make things sort of on the fly, what's cool is it syncs across devices. So if you wanted to upload a photo that you took at an event with your cell phone and put that right into a design, and if you have like a template, you can have that. So that's a helpful thing. Oh, thank you very much, Amber. Thank you for joining. The mobile app is pretty cool too. And it's available on Android, and since it's available on Android, it's probably available in the iTunes store or placed. What's the Apple equivalent? My life revolves around Android, so iTunes. Is it still iTunes? So you can tune in next week for a gentle introduction to my SketchUp class. I will say, actually, let me pull up. If you want to find out about more events, particularly for the Kirstein Business Library or at the Boston Public Library, you have a couple of options. So I'm just going to wrong one, wrong browser. I'm just going to pull open bpl.org. And you can find all sorts of wonderful events that we have coming up. They'll be featured on the homepage sometimes, or you can go to our events section and search for either creative software, which is what this class is showcasing, or you can search for Kirstein Business Library events. So you can go down to where it says event types, hit show more, and you can see this Kirstine type, or you can go to this program. Oops. It's yelling at me. Or you can go down to where it says, ooh, what did I click on? Let me clear filters. Sorry about that. You can hit under programs and it should say software for creatives, and that will show you some of the things coming up. So these are some events. So this gentle introduction to SketchUp, and ooh, the date's wrong on this, but on Tuesday I'm having on Tuesday, September 29th, I'm actually doing a live stream with ooh, I'm going to butcher her name, but she's a professor from Northeastern on climate change. But that's there. The other thing I was going to say is if you want to stay on top, if you go to of all the offerings that we do have, if you go to About and subscribe to our newsletter, you can. So where is it? It used to be right there. So visit. Right here. Subscribe to our newsletter. Many of our things are featured in the main library newsletter, but we also have a Kirstine Business Library one specifically, so you can get on our email list. So that's exciting. Let me just check back if there's any more questions. And thanks for joining me today, guys. Hope to see you again soon at some of our events. And if you have any questions, you can just email us at ask@bpl.org. That's ask@bpl.org.